Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Raw Instinct Take Two. We had some technical difficulties with the video and sound on my end, but nevertheless, we are back stronger than ever. We are moving forward despite the challenges that we are facing. Okay, this video is about a video I came across about degeneracy. It is about OnlyFans models. It is about the type of people that do this type of content, what they're going through, the background lives that these people are living. Okay, they're doing it all for clout, they're doing it all for money, they are doing it for fast money, which is what OnlyFans gives. This Milf house is a agency, a creation house. Basically the content creators are single mums. The agent who is taking care of these women, their handler, if you say, he is a very dodgy person. He is a shady character. Okay, and I thought it'd be an interesting look to see what is going on. Let's jump straight in.
That y'all have probably heard of Brianna Olsen.
The last time I was here, they had said it was the Milf house. Oh yeah, that's what it is.
Hey, wait, which one of you guys left the kid on the doorstep?
Brianna, please.
Yeah, I mean, I had a little look at this video. What one of the content creators literally like threw her child, left it at her, partners, ex-partners, front porch, left it, and she just dashed out of there.
Keep recording.
There's sweat between my ass cheeks, not gonna lie. Hella.
In my 7 years of making commentary videos, I've explored a wide variety of online tropes and traditions we've all come to know and love. Exploitative family channels for one to easily grow their platform alongside like-minded entertainers. Good morning, Jake Paul! Through collaborations, cross-posting, and more, Content House residents enjoy such perks as minimizing travel and avoiding the overhead production costs involved in renting out studio space. Instead, imagine getting to live at your own studio with other rich YouTubers and streamers basking in the LA high life while maximizing your content output. Sounds like a dream come true, or alternatively, a nightmare for the neighbors. But as time has gone on and new, different forms of money making online are becoming more viable, it only makes sense that another iteration of the Content House has begun to take shape.
And you can see this trend, right? Like this happened with the original content houses, with all these original YouTubers and original Vine stars, really. Okay, like people who blew up on Vine back in the day. I think 2012, Vine was around, and it was like the first iteration of TikTok and like YouTube stars, really. Okay, many people went viral, many people were able to launch their careers. I think Logan Paul and Jake Paul were one of those people. And then it kind of made sense that those people will come together, live in the house to produce more content, to boost each other, because they want some of the same sort of journey. But people back then called that type of content, those type of content houses, degenerate. Now it seems that the new meta is for people to who are producing adult content, who are on OnlyFans. Okay, it seems like the pipeline is become famous on TikTok, become famous on on Instagram, and then everything is geared towards funneling your content to your OnlyFans, right? That is where the bulk of the money is being made. That is where the this is the end goal, right? Before it was about becoming an entertainer, becoming a celebrity. Now the goal is to make money by selling nudes, by selling adult content on OnlyFans.
The OnlyFans Content House. Popularized by the Bop House in 2024, these effective porn houses rely on pretty much the exact same structure as the content houses to come before them, only they end up being a lot more lucrative. So lucrative, in fact, that OnlyFans creator and Bop...
Yeah, because the money involved with OnlyFans, it is out of control. I mean, you really got to look at like how are these women able to market themselves and make so much money online? Okay, because a lot of the time they are using platforms such as TikTok, marketing themselves to young and lonely men who end up subscribing to the OnlyFans content, to the adult content, I guess I reckon a lot of the time they're probably underage. They are getting that type of content and not being like it is stuff that they shouldn't see basically. Okay, and I believe that there should be a investigation launched into it. They need to see like what are the how are these people subscribing to his own fans if they are underage, right? Because um like the content that they are making to the marketing content to generate traffic to the OnlyFans is on TikTok, right? And a lot of the audiences, they are young people who are on that platform. So it kind of makes sense. And I would imagine that it is, to kind of, launch them and lure them into their OnlyFans pages. So there should be a investigation into the shady marketing that's going on.
House founder Sophie Rain said the house pulled in a total of $10 million its first month. Camila Araujo, another founding member of the house, has managed to parlay her affiliation with the Bob House into a thriving podcasting career alongside OnlyFans earnings of $1.5 million a month. That's on top of the podcast episodes themselves, which regularly pull over 1 million views on their own. If you're already regretting that bachelor's degree in communication,
and like how people like Jake Paul, Logan Paul, like all these original YouTubers, right? Like how they kind of captured the imagination of the youth, and they all wanted to become YouTubers, right? Like now people watch these TikTok stars who are literally using TikTok to funnel content and customers to their OnlyFans. The next generation of children grow up would want to be adult content creators. Okay, it seems like that is where we're headed. That is the pipeline for the youth.
You're not alone. But as eye-watering as these profits may be, the rise of the Bob House has also drawn some ethical questions as well, particularly regarding the young ages of the women involved and a perceived blurring of
yeah, and the especially with this Bob House thing, I assume that the women are over the age of 21. Well, I think over the age of 18, you just need to be to work in the adult film industry. They look younger, right? Like they are trying to appeal to, look, like they're still teenagers. Okay. And with a lot of them, that they already got into trouble with inviting 17-year-olds to stay with them, and then once they turn 18, like literally they launch their fucking OnlyFans. So this is there's this grooming that is going on that nobody is really calling out. People need to have a look at what is going on because it is out of control.
The lines that occurs when a family-friendly platform is built on the purpose of promoting a career in adult entertainment. Many of the girls entered the space before the age of 20, and a cursory look at the content house's Instagram reveals a sea of baby faces that have a tendency to leave a pit in one's stomach. A feeling that only doubles when you notice the braces on house member Summer, who
Yeah, I mean, like it is that they are trying to placate to play into this, young women. Okay, and that is trying to capture a certain demographic. Is it healthy to promote in society? Probably not. But it is unregulated. Everybody seems to kind of play ignorant, and nobody is investigating what is going on, if this is ethical or not.
Who has taken to her TikTok bio to highlight her status as an adult, implying her actual account might be getting flagged while she simultaneously tries to promote her adult material, which all refers to the idea of romanticization of working as an adult entertainer on platforms geared towards teenagers, as it might not be immediately clear from the images of huge mansions with nice pools and a
Yeah, I mean, they are portraying a certain lifestyle to capture the imagination of a very young audience. These are the times that we live in, okay? And many people are seeing the amounts of money that is there to be made on these online content creating platforms such as OnlyFans. They are grooming and forming a pipeline of these stars, of these content creators to be the next big thing. Okay, and what we're looking at today is the Milf House, which is the next phase of evolution of the Bob House, which is actually a house full of very young early 20s content creators who happen to be single mothers.
Tight-knit group of girls to film trends with. The reality of such an industry paints a different picture. In 2020, the median OnlyFans account was cracking just $180 a month, with the majority of
Yeah, so there is a massive lie being sold. Okay, you have the unicorns, you have the survivorship bias, if you will, the real big winners within this industry, who are making millions and millions of dollars. But the average person who is trying to launch an OnlyFans only makes $180, $200 a month. Um, and with many of them, ruining their reputation amongst their close friends, close circles. They are lured into this world for easy money, when in reality it is just another grind. It is another grind that these people, but the repercussions, consequences are massive. Okay.
The money made on the platform skewing towards the top 1% of creators. As Camilla highlights, one feature that makes the Bob House work is the financial structure of the business. According to her, each woman keeps the money they earn on their own channels, split the money they make on the collaborative content, then split the cost of the rent and bills for the content house separately.
Like, bro, that's the one thing I love about the Bop House. We love watching everyone succeed.
But this isn't the case for most content houses, including the short-lived OF house we'll be exploring in depth today, the Milf house. Yes, that's really what they called themselves. No, I'm not thrilled that I have to say it upwards of 25 times in this video. Founded in February of this year, members were already leaving in droves by May, reporting instability and mismanagement by the house founders at its least extreme, with the most extreme allegations including multi-generational car scamming and connections to individuals indicted in multinational trafficking rings, which is sure to set off.
So again, this is one of the problems with this industry. Okay, it lures in the shadiest characters, right? There is human trafficking involved. There is scams involved. Okay, it is an unregulated industry. Many of the contracts that these women are signing are really a very exploitative contract. Okay, usually the split being something like 30-40% going to the agent, not the normal 20% that you would think. I mean, we discussed Clavicular the other day, who is said to lock a lot of these women into an 80-20 contract, with 80% of the earnings going to the handler or agent. This is how these women are sold a lie that they would make millions and being trapped into these contracts.
Alarm bells when watching a growing number of young mothers be enticed into the house under the promise of making money for their children. Add in the use of live streaming sale for work promotional content, and the result is a spectator sport degradation event that raises questions about how digital culture as a whole is forced to contend with the rise of adult work and the normalization of influencers becoming adult stars, the impact of 24/7 streaming on influence.
Yeah, I mean, before it used to be like, the adult industry and mainstream industry used to be, separate. Okay. And that's why teenagers, 20-30 years ago wanted to be movie stars, TV actors, singers. Okay. Right. Then in the last, especially in the last 10-15 years, they wanted to become, influencers and YouTube stars. And now, everything is geared towards, and there's this blurring line happening between the adult, adult film industry and the, mainstream industry. Okay. With, many normal influencers, with many normal actors, celebrities having an OnlyFans. Okay. It has totally blurred the line. Okay, that those industries aren't separable anymore. They are one and the same, and this trend is growing more and more, especially in the world where people are really suffering. People are finding it difficult to make money. You know, the cost of living is increasing. At a rapid pace. Inflation is out of control. Wars are happening all across the world, and these problems are going to be exacerbated, especially with AI coming, with many people not being able to afford, basic goods, to afford a living. And then when they are looking at social media and see all these people making millions of dollars, they are sold a dream. Okay, and they believe that, fuck it, like I might as well join in. I might as well try, give it a go. Try my luck in order to make money, because whatever they are doing in real life, it is not working. And also the allure, the dream of fast, easy money is too enticing for these people to give up.
Parents, and a growing subculture of OnlyFans management that can only be categorized as the rise of the digital.
Yeah, even with all these manosphere influencers, they all end up being funneling girls to OnlyFans. It seems like everywhere, every industry that you look at, it is geared towards
Digital
OnlyFans.
pimp. Join me today for an exhaustive and emotionally draining look at the most sordid content house to take the internet since that of Logan Paul's little brother, the Milf House. But first, I want to talk about today's sponsor. In-network appointment, link down below. Videos of her taking bites out of other people's food, along with publicly dating a dirty dom of Vlog Squad infamy, though they were long broken up by the time his sexual assault allegations came to light in 2021. Brianna grew a steady following in the LA influencer scene, accepting regular sponsorships from Fashion Nova from 2022 onward. It was through TikTok that she would meet her now ex-boyfriend and father of her first child.
See, because like platforms like TikTok and Instagram, right? They kind of boost these, especially women, to have big followings, right? And then once they have these big followings, they kind of want these brand deals, and some fashion houses, fashion companies might reach out and they offer them. Like, oh, advertise this and advertise that. So some money starts coming in, right? So that then they get used to the idea of, okay, I'm going to post content and then I'm going to, have this brand deal and make some money. But then, the size of the amount of money that you can make by selling adult content, just trumps, right, and dwarfs the amount that they can make just doing normal mainstream work, right? Which is why a lot of these people, especially once they blow up so fast, right, on these platforms and they get a following, they then think, fuck it, like I might as well monetize this, I might as well make as much money as I possibly can. And the fastest way to do it is by setting up a OnlyFans so people can subscribe and buy their dirty pics.
John Geisley, known online as J2 Crisp or 2K for short, who gained popularity on the platform through his barbershop content, culminating with Brianna's pregnancy announcement on September 17th, 2023. The next 9 months would consist of Brianna logging her pregnancy, intertwined with an ongoing public feud with John, which, among other things, concerned the paternity.
And that is the other thing. It's like, because we are spending more and more time on the internet, because we are now, especially like this generation who have grown up online, okay, who have grown up with Instagram accounts, with TikTok accounts, okay, posting, just filming themselves and posting on the internet like it's nothing, okay, because in their eyes they were just sharing with their friends, shit goes viral, and it is something that they're used to. And then they look at the big influencers who are making a lot of money, who are the big entertainers now, they then want to aspire to be them, right? So they are kind of groomed in this world where this is normalized, right? Older generations, people who grew up in the 90s and early 2000s might look at this and be like, what the fuck is this shit, right? But this is how the new generation is growing up. This is where they spend their time, on the internet, on these platforms. That is how they perceive the world, right? So it has been normalized for them to live like this, for them to like this young lady, she is filming and broadcasting her whole journey during her pregnancy, right? It's kind of absurd that that she when she goes for an ultrasound, when she when she's breastfeeding, when she's got stomach cramps or whatever, right? Like when she's going through this whole pregnancy and the drama with her baby daddy, that she feels a need to broadcast it. It is because it has been normalized, right? The younger generation are encouraged to put everything out there on film. It is absolutely out of control where we are headed.
Of the child, with John still claiming into February of this year that he can't really be sure that the child is his, while rumors circulated of Brianna sleeping.
I mean, like if you've got doubt about your pregnancy, if you don't know, if you are the father or not, like why the fuck are you broadcasting it, to 2 million people of your followers? Like, these people don't know the concept of privacy anymore, right? They believe that everything needs to be documented, everything needs to be filmed, and everything needs to be shared, you know, because that is what their lives have become.
With multiple people the summer she fell pregnant. Another textbook case of we should all know less about each other. There were also claims circulating that Brianna was faking the pregnancy, though any doubts would soon dissipate when she did.
I mean, you know, like people that now, you know, celebrities are getting, you know, just any excuse to cause drama and be relevant, right? So you have people questioning whether the pregnancy is legit, whether it's being faked, whether it's just for clout. You know, we're living in a world where you are watching your content creators, where you're watching real people, and you know, you can't really figure out whether they are telling you the truth, whether they are telling you lies. Okay, and you know, people who grow up on this during this generation, right, who grew up on the internet, you know, they believe that this is how people should behave. This has been too normalized for, you know, and it will have real repercussions in the future.
First begin to show physical signs that she wasn't lying. Also, just have to mention the fact that her gender reveal cake turned out to have the wrong color, as she ended up having a son shortly after, which is kind of insane. Most of the latter half of her pregnancy would be quiet, other than when she pulled the influencer final boss move of attending a full weekend of Coachella 8 months pregnant, right?
Yeah, and then, you know, so these influencers are, you know, they blow up on these platforms. People watch them, the young generation watch them, follow them on Instagram and TikTok, and then you see them behave like this. Okay, this lady is 8 months pregnant. Okay, she is literally about to drop and have the child, right? And then she goes to Coachella, right? Is that a wise decision? Is that a wise decision? Even if she doesn't, you know, drink, or, you know, I don't know, you know, take vices, I guess, you know, you know, even if she doesn't partake in your of that type of activity, you know, do you want to be around people who are, you know, literally off their fucking nut, right? Dropping LSD, doing mushrooms, smoking weed, you know, drunk out of their mind, right? Do you want your unborn child, you know, you in an 8-month pregnant state, to be around those type of people where anything can go wrong in the middle of the, you know, like of a whole massive festival? You know, it is irresponsible. This is the role models for the next generation.
Before John was slated to fly back to LA from Dallas for the birth, being in attendance and
even the birth has been, you know, recorded on TikTok. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, as soon as like you know, you're midway pushing and then posing for a fucking selfie, right? Like, you have to get that vlog in, you have to get that content in. Every moment needs to be recorded so it can be turned into content.
The birth certificate when their son was born towards the end of April 2024. Within a matter of days, however, this drama would start to pick up once again, with Brianna initially posting that he flew in only to sign the papers, then leave again on May 1st, with an argument they had about his best friend hooking up with her while she was pregnant that she recorded.
I mean, you know, and then you have this dysfunctional couple, you know, the lady's pregnant, going to Coachella, and then, you know, the child's father is accusing of the mother hooking up with his best friend while she was pregnant. Okay, you know, and these are the role models. Okay, these are the people that your children are looking up to. These are the people that the next generation are trying to emulate. Okay, this because and because they're watching this so much on these apps, you know, this type of activity, this type of behavior gets normalized. So, you know, we are literally headed towards idiocracy. Okay, if you've seen that film, I suggest that you check it out. It's a great film, where, you know, basically a world, a future where only, you know, less intelligent people procreate, and, you know, the human IQ level keeps dropping, right? Because more dumb people keep, you know, procreating with more dumb people, and then the average IQ of the world drops because you just have idiots making babies, and smart people with fucking intelligence, you know, they are not having children, right? Because they, you know, they overthink it. They are not you know, helping humanity survive in the next generation because they are not partaking and passing on their genetics.
Get your ass ate up by my best friend 5 months pregnant.
It would later come out that he had filed for custody 3 days after the birth, a move that he defended in this clip.
At the end of the day, I did what was best for my son. If I didn't serve her at the time that I did, my court date wouldn't be as soon as it is now. What's most important...
I mean, 3 days after, you know, the mother of his child, you know, gives birth, he has to serve her with papers in order to get custody of the child. These people should not have children at all. Okay, this is why you need government intervention to, you know, dictate whether you should be able to have a child or not, because these people clearly should not have children.
Is putting my son in a safe environment, and then we can talk about postpartum, because I'm not here to dismiss that.
Wait, is he responding to Sky Jackson? What the fuck? Nevertheless, Brianna would be the full-time carer of their son until Father's Day of 2024, and later that month, John would move back to LA temporarily to resolve the custody of their son, which in September would be granted temporarily on a half-a-week and every other weekend standard schedule. Over the summer, primary care would begin to transition to John and his mother, who he had made the choice to support financially so she could care for their son while he was working.
I asked my mom to quit her job. It might have been a selfish question, but
I mean, I hope this guy makes enough money then to support the fucking his mum, right? He's going to be, you know, the grandmother of the child, who's going to be the main caregiver to the child. But then I guess, you know, like with these people not having any parental skills at all, it kind of makes sense that, you know, that the child should have at least one responsible person looking after them. But then you got to think, right? Like also the mother, his mother, right, also created a child that got himself in a situation like this, right? It is absolutely, you know, it is the blind leading the blind in this situation. I feel sorry for anybody involved, any children that may get harmed by these people.
I was trying to do what was best for my son.
Meanwhile, Brianna would begin to garner controversy for returning to her old line of work, leaving their son with nannies before turning him over to John and his mother.
Yeah, I mean, imagine your mum, right? You just got born and then your mum goes back to work. What does going back to work mean? Meaning she has to pose in nude pictures, creating adult content for, you know, for men, right? For people who subscribe to our OnlyFans. It is absolutely ridiculous. This generation is fucked, right? They're absolutely fucked. They are... I mean, I guess one thing that you have to kind of consider, right, which is, you know, the silver lining in this, right? You know, are they going to get bullied for having a mother on OnlyFans? Probably not, right? Probably not, because everybody's fucking mum's on OnlyFans, right? You're going to have a whole generation, you know, whose children, you know, when it's, you know, parents' evening, you know, like the parents are all fucking, you know, influencers and OnlyFans girls.
I had work unexpectedly yesterday. I did pick Winter up, and then a few hours later I got booked for work, and instead of calling my nanny like I usually would when I have work, John was already in town, so I was like, hey, can I just drop him back off? And then he ended up just spending the night again.
This was so she could attend dinners and influencer parties throughout the summer and into...
I mean, that is, you know, when she's saying, oh, I had work unexpectedly, it's not like she's doing a shift, right? Like, you know, she's doing a shift at a hospital, right? She's not, you know, like, you know, she's not got deliveries to make, right? She's not got, you know, some type of, you know, manual job, some important job. No. Her jobs, right? The work that she has to leave a child for, right? Who just a newly born kid, right? Is I have to go to a dinner, an influencer dinner, right? And you know, who knows what these people do in the background as well, okay? Because a lot of these women are, also sugar babies. A lot of these women also end up you know, escorting, so that is the type of line, that is the type of work that they are, you know, being pushed towards. And you know, you might say that, oh, you don't know his situation, you know, she needs to make ends meet, you know, yeah, like she's already making a lot of money, okay? So it's not like they're not after the money at this stage. It is more for clout, it is more for it is greed at this point, okay? It's not like they are living in poverty. These are people are living in fucking mansions, you know, spending money recklessly, and it is absolutely out of control. The situation is out of control. It is a bubble, though. That's what you have to also understand. OnlyFans is a bubble, and it will pop very, very soon and badly. How will it pop? I imagine that you know, when AI creators come in, when AI technology gets so good that it will replace a lot of these AI, the real life influencers, because they will not be able to compete with, you know, AI image generated rendered images, you know, high definition, you know, ultra realistic as well. You know, it's just going to get better and better and better. And a lot of people, a lot of young men will end up, you know, subscribing to OnlyFans, sorry, AI girlfriends, instead of these influencers, which they are addicted to right now.
While her posts returned to normative influencer content alongside parenting, John's had transformed completely to newborn content, reflecting who among them seemed more committed to being the primary caregiver. There were also some
Yeah, I mean, you know, I guess, you know, when you're making degenerate content, you know, and then you have a child, you know, the only way to stay relevant is then to start making content about your children. You know, it is absolutely, so it's just a whole exploitative industry where even, you know, any excuse to make content, anything that's going on, someone dies, you have a baby, you know, you're going through a breakup, you are just mass producing content, you are recording live. And I'm not talking about like these people making high quality, you know, like video essays, right? These people are literally just grabbing the camera and being like, oh yeah, you know, and it is just absolute drama that they're just spilling into a camera, blasting all their personal details, their dirty laundry online.
pretty concerning clips that surfaced around this time, like this one where we see Brianna appearing to squeeze her baby's arm so hard that his hand is turning red as
I mean, that's not fucking good, is it? Yeah, I mean, I mean, I guess, you know, at least there's evidence that she's doing this. You know, if any ever a case needs to be built against this lady, but you know, yeah, it's not a good look, man. When you're squeezing your kid's hand that hard that it, it goes red.
commenters pointed out.
And when she was with her son, people were saying that she allegedly had a cold, detached demeanor. With the caption on this video reading, "Winter kept pulling Bree's hair, and it looks like she squeezes his arm so hard," where you can see his hand turning red from where she is squeezing his arm. People would say, "You can see it cut off circulation. She's hurting that baby."
And she's recording all this, by the way. This is the type of content she makes. Okay, literally abusing and harming her child.
WTF, his
Normative influencer content alongside parenting.
Okay. It looks like we have another technical difficulty. Let me see if this is working on my end, or just bear with me. Okay. All right, you're gonna have to bear with me 1 second. Okay, just 1 second. Let's try again with this. Okay. This is the fun of live streaming. It can go wrong at any moment. Let me see if this will work. No. Yeah, the sound's just not working for some reason. Let me try again. I've had trouble with this video all day. Mm, mm, mm. Let's try it one last time and see if I can make it work.
Heard of Astrobrino? There's a very good chance that
Okay, 1 minute. I think it's done. Fuck. Let me try.
y'all have probably heard.
Okay, I know. Hang on. Let me. What if I was to remove this?
Kara would begin to transition.
Okay, no, it's not working. Yeah, yeah, fuck it. I can't get the video to work for some reason. I've had a problem with this video the whole day. I think we'll leave it at that. I mean, it's too degenerate anyway. I don't want to be. I don't think I could watch any more of it. But yeah, that is it for today. We're going to cut it short because of the technical difficulties I am experiencing. Yeah, I mean, this is what these influencers are doing. This is what the pipeline of the future, right? This is where society looks like it is headed. With the next generation watching people like these two, these influencers who are peddling OnlyFans, sharing their drama, every little moment or intimate detail of their life online, acting in the most degenerate way. And then, this next generation of watching that, okay, and they are going to take and reenact what they are watching and just do it 10 times worse. Okay, it is a race to the bottom. It is totally out of control. Society is absolutely spiraling. But I do believe it is going to be short-lived. Okay, this bubble will burst. For better or worse, who knows? This is why we need to come together. We need to build new societies. This is why I'm building new kingdoms. This is why I'm sending out a message to the people to bring about change. We are, raising an army. We are raising 100 kings to become subject matter experts, to be the leaders that the world needs. That is what we're about. That is what we're doing. But that is it for today. Thank you very much, and I will see you tomorrow.